What up, nation? Welcome to yet another edition of the WiseTake NBA DFS Wise Stream. CK013 here. You can find me on Twitter at CK_013. And I, of course, am from the WiseTake Nation, which you can find on all the social media platforms listed above. If you are new to the channel, welcome. Do me a favor and subscribe, hit the notifications bell so you're notified whenever we do go live. You don't want to miss on any of the content. We do all kinds of sports. PGA, NASCAR has been pretty popular for us. Obviously, the main three sports of NFL, MLB. We even do NBA. We even do XFL. And one of our members actually won, I think, 1,200? I think it was in XFL. So shout out to him for doing dirties, because that's what we do, is dirties. So if you're new to the channel, welcome. You came to the right place. Make sure you subscribe. Don't miss out on any of the free shows, free content that we do on the channel. And with that said, guys, those of you watching, if you haven't already hit the like button, please do us a huge favor and hit that like button. The likes go a long way. They really help us out, allow us to continue to do free content, and allow us to continue to do what we do, which is the dirty to thy neighbors. We've got a pretty decent little slate here. Yesterday was obviously a train wreck between a certain optimizer that I will no longer be using, crashing before lock, and also Brandon Clark getting hurt. Death taxes and Brandon Clark getting hurt when he's supposed to start, aka when Jaren Jackson Jr. is out. So that seems to be the norm. It is what it is. DSJ finally came through for us. That was pretty big. Shout out to a long-time WiseTake Nation member, Aaron Kamen, for doing dirties. He won $400 on FanDuel last night off of I forgot the dollar amount he risked. It was very low, low stakes player, but used our new FanDuel cheat sheets, which are available at wisetake.com for WiseTake Nation subscribers. They're automated. They're based off our projections. So whenever we make a change to our projections, it automatically updates the cheat sheet. And he used it to win $400. So shout out to him, man. Keep it rolling. We had a lot of winners last night. I know I don't always get to everyone. Sometimes I don't have time to look at the Slack the night before to recap, but I know a lot of our guys. We had a lot of screenshots yesterday. Shout out to B Super Pack. It's his birthday today, WiseTake Nation member. Happy birthday, bro. With that said, we got a pretty decent sized slate. I'm pretty excited to get into it. It's interesting. This is one of the rare slates where, maybe we get some injury stuff popping up that is unexpected. It's definitely a possibility. But in the meantime, we'll have to take a wait and see approach, because right now it is looking like the mid-tier build is going to be extremely popular, which means the stars and scrubs approach could be coming in pretty low on. So we'll have to wait and see. Again, one little bit of injury information or whatever the case may be, one guy getting ruled out could change that and open up some value. But in the meantime, from what I see, just looking at different ownership projections, it does look like the mid-tier build is going to be optimal today. It's definitely optimal, and like cash games, all that kind of stuff, that's where we're heading. But in tournaments, you want to get a little bit different. This could be the day to take a shot and try to go stars and scrubs. Obviously, hopefully you're playing multiple lineups, so you're able to kind of cover yourself with both. But make sure you have some stars and scrubs lineups, because it does seem like right now the mid-tier balance build seems to be pretty popular. So with that said, our schedule notes article will be back. Should be back tomorrow. Our boy Jay Irv's been on the road doing the family thing, so he hasn't been able to write it. But it should be back tomorrow, I believe. We're going to get things started with Charlotte visiting the Indiana Pacers. We have a 209 total. Of course, one of the lowest on the board. Charlotte just extremely slow, and the Pacers aren't exactly fast. The Pacers are currently 10.5-point favorites at home. They opened up as 11-point favorites. Kind of interesting to see it drop by half a point. Charlotte I think there's two teams that play tomorrow. Charlotte is one of them. They play the Knicks tomorrow, so something to keep in mind. If this game does get ugly, they could be quick to kind of abandon their starters. With that said, we're going to start with Charlotte, because we always start with the road team. Terry Rozier certainly stands out on both sides. His minutes have been down a little bit. We've got him projected for around 32.5. It rounds up on the sheet just for visual purposes. So we have him at 32.5. He still projects well on both sides. I anticipate him to be fairly popular, at least in terms of from this team. If anyone's going to be popular from this team, I think it's him and maybe Cody Zeller. So I'm good with Rozier. I did some work to try to I don't want a ton. I do want some, but I don't want a ton. But he does fit that mid-tier way to go, that mid-tier build. He's an interesting pivot off of Derrick Rose, who's actually projected to be pretty popular at similar pricing, at least on DraftKings. Devontae Graham does seem like he's going to be low owned today. We know he's a little inconsistent up and down. The Pacers are supposed to be one of the better defensive teams, but we've seen guards do dirties to them this season. PJ Washington could be needed tonight. going up against Sabonis and Myles Turner on the other side there. So I'm cool with him. I'm not necessarily, loving it, but I'm cool with it. Myles Bridges is someone I am actually interested in. He continues to be low owned, and since a little bit before the All-Star break, he's had a different role in this team. So I have his minutes jacked up to kind of reflect the way he's been playing recently. So you can see on FanDuel it's kind of okay, but on DraftKings is really where he's interesting, and he's been low owned every single time. So I'm definitely interested in Myles Bridges. I mentioned Cody Zeller. I seen him projected as like one of the more popular value plays on the slate because there just isn't a ton of value. I'm all right with it. This is a situation where you would think they would need him, being that they're going to be playing against Sabonis and Turner on the other end, but Charlotte seems to always find a way to not give him the minutes that he needs, so I'm okay with it, but I'm a little reluctant to go too heavy, especially if he does end up being popular. I think Malik Monk is interesting on DraftKings at 4,900. Nothing special, just kind of another mid-tier tournament play to kind of work in. But as you can see, even on here, like there's not like value. Like the value that's going to help you get the studs, there's nothing that great, which I think is why Cody Zeller, that in combination with the fact that he's power forward eligible again on DraftKings, I think that's what's going to lead Cody Zeller to being popular. But again, that could all change if we get some unexpected player ruled out and all of a sudden there's better value somewhere. But Rozier, Myles Bridges are my two favorites, I think. And I understand the Cody Zeller love. I don't disagree. I think this is a situation where if he was going to get extended minutes, this certainly could be it. It's just hard to project him aggressively because the way things have gone, he just hasn't gotten those minutes. So that's kind of where I'm at. On the other side of this, I think that Myles Turner should be pretty popular as well at his price tag. I mentioned the mid-tier is pretty popular, and that's kind of where everything is leading us. And it makes sense. He's 5K, which is considered a value play to a degree on DraftKings. It's not like the value that's going to get you stars on Scrubsy, but it's value that's going to help you get some better mid-tier plays. So I'm good with him. Centers have destroyed Charlotte for as long as I think we can all remember. Domantas Sabonis is the more interesting one, especially when you try to go that stars and Scrubsy approach, which seems to be like, as of right now, could be a contrarian way to go. Especially because if Myles Turner, this is a great smash spot for bigs. So you got to think if Myles Turner doesn't get there as chalked, and Sabonis probably did in some way, and we know Sabonis has like 60-point upside. So again, a guy that we don't want to over project him to something ridiculous, but someone that I'm definitely interested in, especially as a leverage option off of Myles Turner. Again, not to say I'm not going to be playing Myles Turner. I'll work him into some teams, but again, just trying to play off game theory, keep in mind of who's popular and why. I think Malcolm Brogdon, if you are looking for a mid-tier option, is interesting. Now, keep in mind, this team lost Jeremy Lamb for the rest of the season. Shout out to him, man. That dude is a champ, man. I mean, what he tore like his ACL, his MCL, and did something else, and then still shot his free throws and made it. Just unbelievable. We're waiting on the status of Victor Oladipo. That could open up the value that, or at least some of the value we're looking for. I know I talked to Paulie, and Paulie had mentioned that he heard Aaron Holiday is expected to get some extended run with Jeremy Lamb out. So he could be somebody that we look to, again, not mega cheap. It's not like, he's 46 on DraftKings. On FanDuel, that'll help at 37. On DraftKings, he's 4,600, so it's not like you're getting a steal by any means. But certainly, we've seen him, when he gets good minutes, we've seen him play fairly aggressively. Justin Holiday, I guess we can also consider. But in general, with Lamb out, and again, if Oladipo's in on FanDuel, I'm cool with Oladipo. On DraftKings, I don't mind him. He's just, we know the usage and a point per minute average this year is just not what he is. We know he's much higher than that. So I'm cool with Oladipo to work in the tournaments if he does play. But if he does not play, then I think we could revisit this and try to look and see if we can locate some extra value. That's where I'm at with that one. Let's go on to the next game, and then I'll pop into the chat a little bit. We got the Milwaukee Bucks visiting the Toronto Raptors. The Bucks on the back end of a back-to-back that we know. They went to overtime last night against the Wizards. Giannis played 25 minutes and fouled out. With that said, Giannis is the main play for me in this game. On this team. He only played 25 minutes. He fouled out of the game. No overtime run for him. All his teammates got overtime run. Could be a little worn down. And this is a situation where Giannis can just destroy. And Toronto, with Ibaka down low, is not that big. Situation for rebounds, everything else. I mean, this is a phenomenal spot for Giannis, a playoff-type atmosphere. And you can basically say he's somewhat rested, being that he only played 25 minutes and ended up fouling out of that game. So I mentioned that the Stars and Scrubsy approach seems to be a little contrarian, at least so far. I'm like expecting that to change, but in the meantime, I am interested in Giannis. And while I say this, I also am having a hard time locating like solid real value plays, which is another reason that I do believe that the mid tier is going to be pretty popular. But with that said, Giannis is really the only one that I'm touching. On FanDuel, different story. I think you could take a look at Middleton and Bledsoe, especially Bledsoe at 5'8". That's just way too cheap. But on DraftKings, we mentioned yesterday that the only way they were going to get there on DraftKings was a game stack scenario, and that's exactly how it played out, minus Giannis. Giannis fouled out, which then led to Middleton and Bledsoe just going nuts as if he wasn't there for the rest of the game. You figure, 48 minutes in regulation? Giannis only played 25. Then you add in overtime. That's a lot of minutes on the court without Giannis. So I do think that in this situation, game stack, same situation. On DraftKings, it's more game stack if I'm looking at Bledsoe and Middleton. But as far as like just picking who my favorite player from the team is, it's Giannis. And it's not close. So I do expect him to kind of have a bounce back day. And I expect his ownership to be low because people are having a hard time affording these studs. When I say low, I'm talking like 20%. Not like, I don't mean it's going to be like 5%. I guess you never know. On the Toronto side, I do like Van Fleet a lot. Serge Ibaka and Van Fleet project the best for us. Serge Ibaka we have at 32 minutes, which is fairly conservative. I think most places have him at around 33, which makes sense. Expect him to be pretty popular. He seems to be one of the more popular options on DraftKings at center. And on FanDuel, he's power forward eligible, which is huge. So I do like Serge Ibaka against Milwaukee, going up against the Donut and everyone else. But keep in mind that he is going to be pretty popular. So it's interesting because I've noticed that when I looked at the projected ownership, we had Ibaka as the highest owned center, and then a lot of like value plays under him, like Myles Turner and some of these options. So it makes me think that the expensive centers are going to go overlooked a little bit. So while I will have a lot of Ibaka, I'm going to keep my eyes open as well. But Van Fleet would be my favorite outside of Ibaka. I think it's a really good spot. He's getting big minutes. The price is right on both sites. He projects for almost 6x on DraftKings at 6'8", projects well over 6x on FanDuel at 6'3". So I'm definitely interested. I think this could be a sneaky OG spot. It's kind of hard to gauge when that's going to happen, but it could be. Siakam I do like just simply for ownership purposes, but my main two here are Van Fleet and Serge Ibaka. Though I don't necessarily want to ignore Kyle Lowry, especially on FanDuel at 7'6". He's been playing really well since the break, so I don't want to necessarily ignore him. But it's really Van Fleet as a guy as of right now that I'm looking at a lot of, and Ibaka's also coming in for me around 50% or so, based off the current builds. Let me pop in the chat and give some welcomes. LMA out. See in the chat, DFS Diva says LMA out. I'm assuming that's for tomorrow, right? The Spurs don't play today, or at least they're not on the slate. Maybe they play and they're not on the slate. Is that possible? I don't know. Shout out to those of you who are joining us. Shout out to Austin Clampett. On my way to Seattle, where DFS is illegal gambling the account. Where DFS is illegal gambling the account tonight. Let's go. Reword that, Austin. Longtime WiseTake Nation member. Shout out to you, bro. Appreciate you in the YouTube chat. We've only got 10 likes so far, guys. I think we could do a little bit better than that. Do me a favor if you haven't already. Smash that like button. Like I said, it helps us out. And it allows us to continue to do the free content that we do. And we want to do it because we like talking to the nation. I like hanging out with you guys. And I want to keep doing that. But I need you guys to hit that like button in order for me to be able to justify me doing this. Right? So do us a favor. Hit that like button. All right, next up, we've got the Oklahoma City Thunder visiting the Chicago Bulls. We're going to take a look at this. We have a 219.5 total. It's actually risen 2 full points from 217.5. The Thunder opened up -6. They're up to -7.5. We know the Bulls are dealing with some injuries. Starting with the OKC side, Danilo Gallinari figures to be somewhat popular, and just another mid-tier option that seems to be at a reasonable price against a bad defense. Chris Paul's price has gotten up on DraftKings, making it a little tougher to reach him, but obviously when that happens, the ownership's going to be low. They finally raised Steven Adams' price. He's been, since recovering from his little injury, he's been playing like the Steven Adams that we kind of expected. We talk about going stars and scrubs. They are playing the Bulls. OKC is a significantly better team than Chicago, and more importantly, they're one of the better defensive teams out there, which I think can certainly make a difference for a team like Chicago, who has a tendency to struggle on offense as is, and doesn't really play much defense on the other end. So there is a scenario where this game blows out, and you can look towards a blowout build. Guys like Nerlens Noel, guys like Luang's Dortz, or whatever. It's not anything that that I would recommend per se. But if you're doing 150 teams or so, and you want to find ways to get different or find ways to get stars and scrubsy, there's other guys we can consider. But there's a couple in this one that you can take a shot on. Nothing more than like a 1 to 5% for me though. But as far as the main plays, I think Gallo is gonna be the one we're most likely to get the most of at this moment. Schroeder's price continues to be low, but keep in mind he's only gotten 29 minutes and I don't even know a bunch of most recently. So he's someone to kind of keep in the back of your mind. I don't mind Shai Gilgeous, but it was really mainly Gallo that I was getting most of. I do think that the price of Adams is interesting simply because he's like a clear pivot off of Ibaka, who's going to be popular. I still think I prefer Ibaka, but this is also a spot where centers have done really well historically. So just something to keep in mind for game theory purposes. On the Chicago side, we mentioned they have a lot of injuries. So we know Denzel Valentine is going to join Chris Dunn, Otto Porter, all these guys. They've been all out. Chandler Hutchinson's still out. Luke Cornett's still out. Wendell Carter was supposed to come back, but he's out. So you would think there'd be more we'd be into here on a value perspective. But it's not pretty. Shaq Harrison, they don't seem to want to play more than 18 minutes a game. Even with the 18 minutes on DraftKings at 3,100, he's projected for over 6x. I'll get some of him because I think there is a path. There's foul trouble. Anything can happen where they're forced to play him more. And while he's been on the court, he has been aggressive, so I'm okay with it. Daniel Gafford is okay from the perspective of you feel like they're going to need him, but it's kind of hard to really go heavy on any of the Chicago centers because they just haven't really done all that well consistently. Kobe White has played really well. I think he's another fine mid-tier option. I am interested in him. I don't know how much we were getting of him. I don't know if he made the cut exactly, but I wouldn't have minded if he was in there because he's going for 40s. Like when he's on, I mean, he's playing big minutes, and he's a lot of fun to watch. Everything. I think Thaddeus Young is due to get some decent minutes today as well. Again, not going to go crazy on the Bulls. I know we have some injuries, but we kind of always have. So a lot of these prices have adjusted themselves, including Zach LaVine at 8,900. I think Kobe White would probably be my actual favorite non-value play here. Simply for the upside, he's shown us the ability to go for 40. We know he's going to be aggressive on the court. But keep in mind that this game is expected to have a slower pace, and keep in mind that OKC is one of the better. They're well above average in terms of the overall defense. So, don't want to go too crazy in that aspect. Next up, we'll go to the Detroit Pistons and the Denver Nuggets. We've got a 214 total that's down from 216. Obviously, Denver and Detroit both playing extremely slow. More so Detroit. Detroit has really, really slowed things down. Starting with them, Derrick Rose is projected to be one of the more popular plays. And on FanDuel at 4,900, I totally get it. On DraftKings, I even get it at 56. He played 28 minutes in his last game. My concern is how long will this game stay close? A little bit of the defense of Denver. So I'm cool with Rose. I'm going to have some Rose, but I'm going to try to go a little underweight, at least to his projection. I'm seeing it projected upwards in like 35-40% owned. If that is the case, I probably want to be somewhere around 20-25. And I think where we have him at, it kind of reflects that. Bruce Brown's questionable, so that could change some things. If Bruce Brown is out, this could be a spot we get some value. Sekou Doumbouya becomes more interesting. Svi Mihajlovic becomes more interesting. So again, we want to keep an eye on the question tags that we do have. Should Bruce Brown get ruled in, he's an option, nothing I'm too crazy into. I think Christian Wood is kind of interesting. I'm just a little afraid he's been coming off the bench, and you really need him to get his full run of minutes. But even in a blowout scenario, I don't think he's a guy they're going to be really conservative with. Thon Maker's minutes have been down recently. John Henson in the most recent game did get some runs, so he's somebody you could take a shot on, but to go off a one-game sample and assume they're going to do the same, it's just really, really tough. So on the Detroit side, there wasn't a ton that I was into. Again, I think that there could be a lot we get into if Bruce Brown gets ruled out, and that'll help get us some of that value that we're looking for to load up on the studs. But in the meantime, Derrick Rose should be popular. I'm cool with it. Christian Wood is on the outside looking in for me right now, but I am seriously contemplating that because he does have big upside, and Denver has really struggled against bigs on the season. I just don't like the fact that he's been coming off the bench. It's been kind of frustrating, or at least recently he did. Not sure what they did in their last game specifically. With that said, let's go to the Denver side of the ball. So Will Barton is underpriced to me on both sites. Perhaps we were a little aggressive with his minute projection based off what he's done. I'm going to take a look at that to be completely sure about that for a second. With that said, the price is low, right? Like Barton, before the All-Star break, was dealing with some sort of injury. The problem is that the team is just, in general, they're healthy. Against Minnesota, Barton only got 27 minutes, but that game was like kind of a blowout. I think it was more about his efficiency. He was too free from the field. Just didn't have a good day. Still went for 24 DraftKings points. The game before against OKC, played 32 minutes, went for 36. So at 5.5, it's really hard to pass up. Knowing the upside that he has, the blowout potential is the scariest thing here. Detroit has been pretty bad. lately. Denver, obviously a good team. They're at home where it's very, very tough to play for road teams. So that would be a concern. But I think Barton is cheap enough to where even if the game got out of hand, he could get his in that a lot of time. The other guys are interesting. Gary Harris for value is interesting. I know he hasn't been very good this season in terms of fantasy points. Like, I'm not really sure why. But he's only 4K. He's playing 30 minutes a game. Against the Lakers on the 12th, he played 34. So he is certainly a viable value option. Against Minnesota, in those 30 minutes, he did take 10 shots. He made 5 of them. Only went for 23 DraftKings points, so the peripherals just aren't always there. But again, just another value option to consider if you are trying to get some stars and scrubby type builds. But Jokic is the one that I think is the most interesting. The blowout still applies. He's not going to get no 36 minutes like he was at one point because Plumlee's back and Millsap is back. They're healthy. With that said, this is just a smash spot for centers. Just a smash spot for centers. So if you want to get a little risky, take a shot on Millsap instead for the savings. You can take a shot. You want to roll the dice with the Plumlee. But Jokic is just in a complete smash spot against Thon Maker, Christian Wood, John Henson. None of them any good at defense. All of them kind of undersized for the position in terms of like strength, everything like that. So if Jokic wants to, he should be able to kind of have his way and do what he wants. And I just mentioned that I do think that people are going to have a hard time getting up to the center position, spending money at the center position because there's so much mid-tier in value that people are relying on at this position. So I may over-project Jokic a little bit just to make sure I get some of him. I'm not saying that we have to go 50, 60%, but if I can get 20% or so, that could be some pretty good leverage on a slate like this, assuming that he is low owned. Now, again, there is massive blowout risk here. There's things we have to consider, but also for the sake of game theory, I think he's interesting. But Will Barton is probably my favorite overall. He's probably the one I get the most of at this point. For sure. Let's go to the next games. Oh, I see. He says, dumping the bankroll on it tonight. No sense leaving money since I can't play that. Austin, I got you, bro. So Austin was saying he's on his way to Seattle where DFS is illegal. He's gambling the entire bankroll tonight. That's what he meant. I got you. Dumping the bankroll tonight. It's the DFS Diva. It's all good. Appreciate you, just trying to help. You were looking. You got some news for tomorrow. It's all good. Just trying to help. We're cool with it. Charles Walker says, yo, what up, CK? What up, Charles, man? Glad to see you back here again. And welcome to those of you who are joining us a little bit late. We're up to 19 likes. We was at 10 last time I said it, so I appreciate it. You guys are working. You're working. That's almost double. I can deal with it, but we still need more to continue to do dirties on YouTube. So please hit that like button, guys. It helps us out. It goes a long way. We appreciate you. Next up, we've got the Boston Celtics and the Portland Trailblazers. Let's pull this up. We've got a 223 total. It's actually down from 229, so I would assume that's because they thought maybe maybe they thought Dame and Kemba were actual options, which is a possibility. We know on the Boston side, Kemba Walker's out. Boston is another team that does play tomorrow. I forget who they play, but they do have a game tomorrow. Maybe it's Utah. I think that makes sense. I know they're in Portland right now. So again, Kemba Walker we know is out. We know that means that the rest of his teammates are going to get a pretty big boost here. The problem is the pricing. Jason Tatum is 8.8. The positive of that is the ownership is going to be low here. The negative of that is it's going to be hard for even us to reach. So as of right now, I wasn't getting a lot. I was getting some, but I wasn't getting a lot. Jaylen Brown's the one that I'm getting that I was getting the most of. And it makes sense when you look at the price. He's the only one that kind of seems underpriced for the situation. I think Gordon Hayward, for game theory purposes, also very interesting. Once again, Boston remains underpriced on FanDuel. Marcus Smart at 5'3", Hayward 6'6", Jaylen Brown 6'2". The only one who's priced up is Jason Tatum, and obviously he's been the best one. So I shout out to them for doing that, getting that right, I guess. But Jaylen Brown, I'll get a good amount of. Gordon Hayward's a guy I was looking at around 15 to 20%, and Daniel Tice. I mean, another pretty good spot. Just a situation where they're going to need the bigs. Is today a day we're going to see Cantor? It's hard to like project that, because he just hasn't been there. So, looking at the situation, Tice power forward on FanDuel helps. On DraftKings, he's center only, but he's in that 4,900 mix, and he's played well against the Lakers. Went for 27 DraftKings points. That isn't gonna like make your night tonight, but it isn't gonna kill you. against Minnesota, which was a much better matchup. Went for 48 DraftKings points. And he's doing it all in somewhat limited minutes. Against the Clippers, he ran into some foul trouble. So that's a possibility, especially with Whiteside on the other side. So he's expected to be popular. That makes me a little nervous. But at the same time, they're going to need a big on the court. So if it's not him, Cantor, they're going to need somebody because Whiteside's on the other side. And I don't think that they are going to attempt to go small at all. They're going to force whatever team they're playing to play their style of ball. So I'm on the fence a little bit with Tice. Maybe we'll bring Paulie on. Oh, we will bring Paulie on. Maybe we'll ask his opinion in the second half of the show. A matter of fact, I'd like to hear your opinions. I'm going to check the chat in a couple right after we do the next game. So let me know what you guys think of Daniel Tice. Are you guys into him? We're about foul trouble. Would love to hear your opinions. But Boston, again, I do like them. It's just on DraftKings, where I mostly play, a lot of the pricing has gone up. But Jaylen Brown, Daniel Tice were the two I was getting the most of. Gordon Hayward third. I was getting some Tatum, but not really a lot. Smart's a guy that I don't have a ton of that I'm a little nervous about. This is a spot where they could really use him with CJ McCollum on the other side. So we'll have to take a wait-and-see approach. But this is a sneaky game stack for sure. This could definitely be that thing. On Portland, with Dame out, these guys have all been getting really good minutes. McCollum's price is up to a point that it's really tough to reach, but that kind of makes me like him. It kind of makes me want to go there. It's really, really hard to get him to project where we need him to get him in. And I understand that's simply because his usage is just different, right? Like, we're used to seeing him with Dame on the court where his usage is significantly lower than when Dame's off the court. So similarly to Tatum, how Tatum has played really well without Kemba, but his price is up. And now I expect his ownership to be low. We should see the same result here with Portland. I expect the ownership to be low because the price is up. So that makes me kind of interested. That makes me feel like maybe we want to find a way to get him. So if I have to give him a manual boost, I got him at 43 minutes, which you may think is ridiculous. But he did play 43 minutes in his last game. That's not why I did it. Not because of one game sample. I'm just trying to get him projected to a point where he starts popping into our teams. But McCollum played 37 minutes against New Orleans. 43, and that was a game that they got blown out. Against Detroit, played 43 minutes. That's the biggest concern, is without Dame, they've looked awful. So the biggest concern here is that Boston just beats the shit out of them. But with that said, I'm interested in some McCollum. I think he's going to be low owned, and that makes me interested. I think Anthony Simons is a real potential value option. His minutes have also been kind of tough to gauge. They've been sticking with Gary Trent for the most part. He's been getting the majority of the minutes, but even though Simons only got 18 against Detroit, he did get 27 against New Orleans. Again, I know that blew out. But before the All-Star break, he also got 28 against Memphis. So there is a path for him getting more minutes. And as you can see, the price is more than reasonable at $3,900 on a slate where we don't have a lot of value. So he could be someone that we may have to buy into a little bit. And the blowout would help him. I'm not trying to project whether they're going to get blown out, but that's a scenario where you almost root for it because he's more likely to get more minutes that way. I'm okay with Gary Trent. I think that Carmelo Anthony is fine. Nothing too crazy exciting. Trevor Ariza, Hassan Whiteside. We talked about centers. This is a phenomenal matchup for centers against Boston. We got Daniel Tice and Cantor, neither of which very good defenders. Tice, you can argue, is a little undersized. So I'm good with Whiteside as a low-owned, game theory play. This is to get a little bit different. So 9,200 on DraftKings, 96 on FanDuel. That's going to keep his ownership low. So he's another player, kind of like Jokic, that I'm not saying we want to go 40, 50, 60%. We don't want to force too much of the stars and scrubs. But we know that we're going to have ownership leverage with these guys' ownership being so low. So something to keep in mind as the mid-tier continues to project as the chalky route to go. So again, I'm going to have the mid-tier builds. I'm not trying to talk you guys off of that. I do want to make sure I have some stars and scrubs because as of right now, it seems to be a little more contrarian. And even in the event that we get value, I'm not quite sure that the center position is where people are going to decide to spend up. So just a couple things to keep an eye on here. We did just get news that Victor Oladipo has been ruled out for tonight. Aaron Holiday will start in his place. So that should help in terms of the value a little bit. Obviously, with everyone else healthy, we're not sure what the usage is going to look like. But I still think on a slate where we're hurting for value, he's a guy we want to consider. So I'll make those adjustments when we're on the transition for the break, but expect to see Holiday project a little better and expect to see the other starters because, again, Oladipo, while he has not performed well on a results basis, his usage has been pretty high. So these are all things to kind of keep in mind as we go through. But again, sneaky game stack, I'm a little concerned. Like just looking at the results, Portland's been pretty bad without Dame. I mean, they were bad in the beginning of the season, if you remember, and they got injuries, right? Like, I think they would be better if they had Zach Collins. I think they would be better if they had Yusuf Nurkic. So they're missing some key pieces, I think, to this offense, to this team in general, and they're suffering because of it. Gary Trent I'm okay with, but 4,500, very scoring dependent in the situation. I think I would rather take Simons for the discount if I was going to pick one of them. So maybe I'll make some adjustments to Simons' minutes to kind of reflect how we feel about him. I mean, look, for Simons, he's taking the shots. He just hasn't shot well, and that's led to his minutes being reduced. But again, I do think maybe we're a little too conservative with it. It might take a lot to really get him to project well enough to where we actually start getting some. But we'll see. I'll revisit that. We'll talk to Paulie, see what he thinks. But I do think something could be done there. I'm going to go on to the next game, then I'll pop into the chat real quick. Well, we only got 2 more games left, so I guess I'll pop in there now. Let's do it. Kyle Bogart, what it do? What's up, man? Josh Wiles, Murray or Barton doing a single game? I prefer Barton for the price, but I think, I would say personally, I would say Barton. I'm going to be honest with you. I'm a little bit of a Barton homer. I like the way that guy plays, but Murray's been outstanding. But if you're going to ask me to pick one, I'm going to go with Barton. Didn't Cantor have a little stint in Portland? I don't know. He might have. We know he was in OKC. We know he was with the Knicks. He may have been there for a cup of coffee. I'm not positive. Tejas, what's up, bro? I haven't seen you in a little bit, man. I know it was the break and all that shit. I know. Mario Young, Aaron Holiday, or Gary Trent for a tournament? Honestly, I'd probably go with Holiday. Gary Trent's extremely scoring dependent. Holiday, the minutes are a little concerned. The Trent has the minute security. I do think he gets a lot of minutes. Holiday, if he's not playing well, they'll throw in his brother. They got guys they can work in. But I'm going to say Aaron Holiday because we have an injury to take advantage of, and Aaron Holiday has been a little bit more aggressive overall and is more likely to get some peripherals along with the shot attempts. So that's how I'm going to answer that. Mario, my dude. We're up to 25 likes, guys. I appreciate you, but I need more. I'm going to keep asking for more, but I do appreciate you guys taking care of that for us. Much, much appreciated. And, Paulie D says, yes, Cantor was on Portland last year. It was like he had a cup of coffee there. That's where he got traded from the Knicks, right? The Knicks traded him there. That's right. Again, like, it's just like, I'm not saying that Cantor wouldn't do it, but it's hard to go heavy on a guy like Cantor when he's barely in the rotation right now, and they're missing guys, and he's barely in the rotation. So it's just tough. But hit that like button, guys. We're going to finish up with these 2 games, and then we're going to pause it, bring Paulie D on, talk some game theory, get some questions answered. Ooh, here's an interesting development. Malik Monk will start ahead of Devontae Graham. Maybe Devontae Graham got in trouble, or is it because he's been playing like shit? I don't know, but that's interesting. That's going to make Malik Monk a little more interesting to me. Oh, he's uncertain. Devontae Graham is uncertain Tuesday, so that could definitely change things. It could make Rozier look a lot better, and it would make Malik Monk look like an awesome play. So the simple fact that even if Graham plays, the simple fact that he's not starting, I'm going to want to load up on some Malik Monk against the Pacers, and it's going to make me feel a little more comfortable with Rozier. That could lower the ownership on Rose a little bit because Rozier is similarly priced. But if people get wind that Graham may be out, expect the ownership on some of those guys to raise, including Cody Zeller, including pretty much everyone. So Charlotte got a little more interesting now. If Devontae Graham is going to be out, they just got a little bit more interesting. That could also open up the value we've been looking for in the. Let me just pause real quick to look. In the second unit, still risky. But maybe we see guys like Cody Martin get more minutes because of it, or this Jalen McDaniels. He's more of a forward, I think. But there may be something extra to look at. Myles Bridges' usage probably goes up here. I would imagine Myles Bridges' usage. Matter of fact, let's pull it up and see what happens. My bad, I just punched the mic like a straight up dick. I'm gonna pull some shit up. Let's look at some numbers real quick. Hold on. I want to know what happens. We got a couple minutes. Let's go Charlotte Hornets. Devontae Graham. Is there anyone else that I even need to take off here? I guess not, right? I mean, some of these dudes just don't play anymore, like Nick Batum. Shit. So in terms of usage increases, anyone with a significant sample with no Graham. Terry Rozier, 1.3% usage increase. Malik Monk 1.1% usage increase. So I'm definitely interested in that. It does say Cody Martin gets a boost, and some of these guys. I'm just concerned about the sample with some of those dudes. Cody Zeller 1.02 fantasy points per minute. But the main usage guys are going to be Malik Monk and Terry Rozier, from what I can see. Again, Cody Zeller 19.1 is not bad. Dwayne Bacon 21% if he were to get some run. We don't know. PJ Washington 18.6, Myles Bridges 20.4. So it does help. Like we got a 0.5% increase for Bridges and PJ Washington. It makes it more interesting. It's not a great game. The Pacers are one of the better defensive teams out there, but we need every edge we can get. So that's just how we're going to have to approach that. And then on top of that, we know that we have an injury on the other side. So that game in general needs to be revisited. We'll update those on the projections that reflect on the cheat sheet as soon as we make those changes. And we'll do that, try to take care of that on the transition for the next show, for the second half of the show. My bad. Hit that like button if you haven't already. We're going to jump into New Orleans Lakers. This is one of my favorite games in the slate. Just as an NBA fan, there's drama, right? We got the narrative. We got the Pelicans, formerly known as the Lakers, right? Brandon Ingram, Lonzo Ball, Josh Hart, all these guys former Lakers. We got Anthony Davis, the former Pelican. There's a lot going on here. We're going to start with the New Orleans side. Well, first of all, we have a 239.5 total, which is the highest on the slate by far. The next highest would be the Toronto game at 231. The Lakers opened up -8. They're down to -7, which is promising if you're looking for a closer game, which we certainly are. This game's at 10 o'clock. It's not the late night hammer, but it is one of the late games going. It's another positive. Starting with the New Orleans side, Brandon Ingram, I'm going to continue to play him a ton. I know with Zion there, Ingram's usage has taken a little bit of a dip. It's not as much of a lock, but I think he steps it up a little bit today against the Lakers. I'm a little worried about foul trouble. That's definitely a realistic possibility for Ingram. He does get a little handsy at times, but when he does play the minutes, he's going to take the shots. He's going to grab some boards, going to get some assists. And on DraftKings, specifically at 6,800, I still think he's underpriced. So I'm willing to bite the bullet. I'm willing to give another shot to Ingram, even though he kind of failed me 2 games in a row. Chalk it up to narrative if you want, but I projected him fairly low, fairly conservative for minutes, and I understand that most of the sample for projections this year are with Zion not there. But I still am interested. We've seen him do well, even with Zion on the court, so I'm still interested. With that said, I also think Zion is interesting. I expect his ownership to be pretty low now that he's up to 8K. We've seen it. Like, the Lakers are a very big team, but we've seen certain bigs do well against them at times. So I wonder if there's something to that there. With Dwight Howard, JaVale McGee, all these guys down there, but there's also times where they play AD down there. And not saying these guys are bad defenders, but we have seen instances where these guys have done relatively well, where guys have done relatively well against them. So I'm interested. Jrue Holiday, I don't know how much I reach him at his price, just more of a game theory thing. Derek Favors is kind of interesting. I really only like to use him when there's injuries. Oh, Draymond Green just got ruled out against the Kings. Holla. So we got more stuff to discuss. That's going to open up some value for sure. That's going to help us out a little bit there. So now we're starting to move a little bit. Now we're starting to get a little bit of a clearer path to get the guys we want. Nicole Lomeli, potential value option. He's played really well in the limited minutes he's gotten. Very similar to Nikola Mirotic with the three-point shooting, all that kind of stuff. But Ingram was my favorite play on the team. I don't mind grabbing some Alonzo Ball. In the last game, his minutes were down, but generally they've been up. Let me see here. Generally they've been up. I think I want to give him a little boost just to make sure that we don't get any left out there. So Favors is the question mark. He's in the same price as the Daniel Tices and all these guys. Typically, we only want him when Ingram or Zion or someone is out. But again, the Lakers are a very big team. Maybe this is a spot where they do want to play him a little bit more. And he's projecting fairly well for us already. So just something to keep an eye on. I do like this game as a game stack. I think you can play multiple New Orleans players as well. On the Lakers side, I'm interested in LeBron. I'm interested in AD. I don't like to guess between the Danny Greens and the Avery Bradleys. I know Paulie has looked into this, and it seems like Bradley is probably, if you're going to pick one of those, if you're going with that option, at least Bradley seems to be the one with the best path to success in terms of averaging more minutes, averaging a little more usage and shots. But I really don't like to play that game with these guys. The good thing about the Lakers is I'm always going to go LeBron, AD, or both. And in this situation, I do like them both. I like Anthony Davis in the revenge spot. I also like LeBron just knowing he's going to run this offense. So I overprojected their minutes a little bit just to kind of reflect how much I like them. And any value we get, I'm getting value to fit in LeBron James, Anthony Davis, and some Giannis shares. Those are the 3 top studs for me today. And that's not even including the Whitesides and the Jokic's. So I want a lot of these studs. I want to find ways to get exposure to a lot of them. But my favorites are certainly going to be in the games I like, which is the Toronto-Milwaukee game and this Lakers-Pelicans game. Next up, we got the Kings and the Warriors. We've got a 222.5 total here. Opened up at 226, so that's a pretty far fall. We know Draymond Green was just ruled out, so I don't think that really includes that unless they knew something, which they could. Is Vegas. The Kings opened up -6. They're up to -6.5. I would expect that number to go up even higher now that Draymond is officially out. Harry Giles stood out to me quite a bit, especially on a slate where we kind of need the value. Now, they have options. They've got Jabari Parker. We know Holmes and Bagley are still out, but they have Jabari Parker, who I don't think has played too much other than that first time. So, the 22nd. Yeah, Parker saw 15 minutes against Memphis, and the next game he didn't see any time on the court because Alex Len was in. So, Len got like 16 or 17 minutes. He could be interesting against the Warriors, a team that's really struggled against bigs. But assuming Harry Giles starts, I love Harry Giles in this spot. I didn't think they were ever going to give him minutes. I guess it was an injury issue because he got 32 minutes against the Clippers, performed well. 25 minutes against Memphis. I'll take you. You give me 25 of him as long as he's starting, and I know he's going to get to 25. I'm good with it. We got him projected for 26 minutes. He's projecting well over 6x on both sides. He's power forward eligible on FanDuel. He's a power forward on FanDuel, which is huge. I like Giles. He's probably one of my favorite value plays on the slate. Going up against Golden State, who's been terrible against centers. De'Aaron Fox should be pretty popular as like a study mid-tier, right? Like upper mid-tier. I'm okay with him. I'm not. His minutes have been kind of inconsistent. Same thing with Buddy Hield. Buddy Hield's minutes have been dramatically fucked with over the last 2 days. So I'm a little reluctant to take too many guys here. Harrison Barnes in a revenge spot against Golden State. Not sure if he still gives a damn, but he's been playing monster minutes. So I respect that. Anytime a guy's getting minutes like that, I'm always going to respect it. But in the meantime, that's kind of where I'm at. I'm okay with Bjelica. Now that Len and these guys are there, I don't think his minutes are as solidified, as secure. But Harry Giles is definitely one of my favorite value plays, assuming he starts. If we get when he's not starting, I will bail quick as hell. But with that said, assuming he starts, I love Giles. So the Golden State Warriors has got a little more interesting, right? We know Draymond is now out, so we'll make the changes again. But what's interesting to me is I think that's going to open up minutes for this Juan Toscano-Anderson. So I don't know enough about the dude. But I know Draymond missed the last game. He's 4,100 on DraftKings. He's 4K on FanDuel. He played 28 minutes against New Orleans, went for 37.5 DraftKings points, had 8 rebounds, 3 assists, 2 blocks, a steal, and shot 6 for 10 from the field, 3 of 5 from 3. Against Houston, he played 25 minutes, 6 rebounds, 5 assists, 1 block, 2 steals. So it's not the same matchup. Sacramento is not as fast as they used to be. But I still think that there's some room for the sloppiness. In general, I think he becomes an excellent value play now that Draymond has been ruled out. I think we can also look at Paschal. We're still waiting, I think, on Marquise Chris news. That could be the nail in the coffin for me to really help me load up on him because I think they'll bump everybody else kind of down. But yeah, I'm definitely interested. And I'm definitely interested in him. Just a matter of how much. So, in the transition, we're going to go ahead and look and see where he kind of ties into all this. But I'm definitely interested. I'm definitely interested in this Juan Toscano-Anderson guy for value to help us get the stars and scrubs. We were just kind of waiting for the word. Jordan Poole on FanDuel is only 4,800 on DraftKings. He's 54. He's played really well. This isn't a knock on him. But the price is now up at a point where how much ceiling do you actually have there? Kai Bowman should get more minutes now that Draymond's out. He's seen a big increase in minutes, and he's actually really cheap on FanDuel at 4,100. So this team got a lot more interesting. I think Eric Paschal should see 30-plus minutes in this scenario, especially if Marquise Chris is out. If Chris is in, I'm interested in Chris as well. The Kings have also been terrible against centers, and Len ain't going to fix that. So I'm definitely interested from multiple angles, especially with all the injuries. So kind of take a wait-and-see approach on Chris. But with Draymond out, that certainly helps. And again, it looks like we are going to get some of that value we were hoping we were going to get at this point, which is cool with me. So that's going to do it for the game by game. Hopefully we get the rest of this injury information as the slate progresses. We'll have to wait and see. But I'm going to pop in the YouTube chat for a second before I sign out of here because we have a little extra time. I'm going to go over and see if you guys have any questions I can answer real quick or any comments just to do the damn thing. And then, yeah. And then we'll take a little pause, bring Paulie on, and do dirties that way. Narrative play, Cantor, Paschal starting, yeah. Shout out to LD, WiseTake Nation member, long time Nation member, solid player. Eric Paschal starting. Okay, so we did get that information. Is that correct? Draymond Green out again. Marquise Chris is probable. So Marquise Chris is probable. If that's the case, that could affect these guys a little bit because Chris was out that last game. But that I'm still willing to take a shot because I think Toscano's at least going to get 24 minutes today. And I'm willing to take a shot at that price on those minutes, just a matter of how much. I didn't mention Wiggins at all. I'm okay with him too. We expect his usage to be up there, especially with Draymond gone. So I should have mentioned him. I know I didn't, but I'm actually okay with him. Damian Lee, I don't mind, but doesn't really do much for me. I'm mainly excited about this Toscano dude, but maybe there's more I should be looking at here. We'll have to wait and see how things play out. 33 likes. Appreciate y'all, man. Appreciate y'all with the likes. 33 is healthy. I like it. We could do more. I know we can do more, but you know what? We have a whole second half of the show, so I'm not going to trip. I'm just going to appreciate that you guys have come in here hitting those like buttons because, again, it does help us out a lot. MG says, Toscano Anderson is like a small forward, power forward who you don't have to run plays for. Plays hard and confident. I love it. Austin Clavis says, damn, I wish that Monk news was late. I was already loading up on him. Yeah, I know. That's the downside of these. You're happy to get the injury news because you're so scared of playing somebody that may get ruled out. But at the same time, sometimes obviously when there's injuries, it creates chalk. And so if you were on a lower owned play and blah blah blah, now he becomes chalk, and then you start getting a little nervous about it. But I feel you on that, Austin. Any love for Rondo against Jusilino B? My bad. Just tell me how to pronounce it and I got you. But any love for Rondo? I'm probably just a dumbass and reading it stupid, but hook me up with a pronunciation if you could. Any love for Rondo against the Pels? I don't mind it, man. It's just hard to project. It's hard for me to sit here and really even with 150 teams, I don't see a world where I would end up with more than 3 to 5%. You know what I mean? I got one more for you, Van Fleet or Ingram, same price point. This is from Mario. I got one for you, Van Fleet or Ingram, same price point on DraftKings. That's a tough question. I'm going to tell you why it's a tough question because those are my two highest owned players as of now. That could change, but those are my two highest owned players right now. It will change as a matter of fact because I do have to make some changes to our projections and kind of see what pops. But, I guess, man, that's really tough. I guess slightly Ingram, that's more of a bias thing. But, again, Van Fleet and Ingram are two guys that I have a lot of now. I don't think that part's going to change. I think, if anything, I'm going to get more value plays and more studs to play alongside those guys. I don't see my interest in those guys, or I don't see my exposure in those guys really dropping all that much. So, I know I'm not giving you a straight answer. If I had to pick one, I guess I would say Ingram, but I like them both a lot today, just to be clear. All right, Nation, we got 5 minutes to 6, so I'm going to sign off. Well, I'm not going to sign off. I'm just going to pause, put on a little background music for you guys while we set up for part 2. We're going to hit up Paulie D. We'll talk some game theory. I'm going to update our projections as well based off some of the news we just got. So hang tight. Just kind of relax, chill, enjoy the music. We're not going anywhere. You don't have to find a new stream. Stay right here on the stream. We'll be right back in just a few minutes while we set up for part 2. So, peace for now.
What we do here is go back.
What up, nation? We are back with part 2 of the NBA Wise stream, joined once again by the GOAT, the true OG. You guys know him as Paulie D. You can find his ass on Twitter at Paulie with 8 of them bitches. Paulie, what's happening?
What's happening?
Shit. After yesterday, today is just a glorious day because it has not so far been as bad as yesterday. Just that simple fact.
changes have been made to the process.
Yes, changes have definitely been made to the process, no doubt. No doubt. I did just, real quick, for those of you subscribed to WiseTake.com, I did just update the projections to reflect the Charlotte situation, the Pacers situation, and the Golden State situation. Should we get any more news, I'll update it while we're on the show, all that good stuff. So if you're subscribed to WiseTake.com, I would recommend you refresh the projections, go do the dirty. If you're using the cheat sheets, those also update automatically when we update the projections. So double check those and see who's popping now. Obviously, guys like Terry Rozier and Malik Monk are projecting even better than they were before. Paulie, what do you like today, bro? Like generally, don't give me everything because then we won't have shit to talk about, but give me like a general synopsis, right? Like before, the mid-tier build was like looking like a very optimal, popular way, and me and you were trying to figure out how to get stars and scrubs. Now there is more paths to getting that if we want it. Do you still think the mid-tier is chalk, though?
Yeah, I do. I think it would be like a one stud and sort of like trickle down. Like the value that's emerging is not really like the super cheap value. It's around the 5K range. And I don't think you're going to see a lot of like 3-studded lineups. Maybe a couple 2-stud type builds, but I think the general chalk build is going to be like 1 stud and a lot of like 5 to 7K.
Yeah, I think you're 100% right. Like, I think that the difference is that before, I think a lot of the studs were actually going to go low owned. Now, I think people will be able to fit in 1 pretty comfortably. Brooke Lopez will play, by the way. We just got that news. Now, I think people will be able to fit in 1 comfortably, but I agree. Probably not 2. Like yesterday, you saw like 3 studs in team people's lineups. It was just ridiculous. But I agree. I think today's situation a little bit different. It's different. Yeah, it's different. With that said, I want to hear some of Paulie's top plays. So talk to me about the studs first, man, because we talk about trying to be contrarian and getting some exposure to these studs to be a little different. I expect the ownership on some of the studs to raise as the value opens up. But talk to me first about the studs you even want.
So Domantas Sabonis is my favorite stud at 9K. He's coming off a terrible performance. No Oladipo, no Jeremy Lamb, a bit of usage to kind of absorb a nut spot against centers in the Hornets. And the game I kind of think will be close. And, I kind of think the Hornets are going to play a little faster than normal. And same kind of goes with the Pacers. Aaron Holiday's a transition guy. He's going to be getting more minutes. And Sabonis is my favorite stud. After that, Giannis just has such a great history against Toronto. Just in the last 2 weeks, he's averaging 2 fantasy points a minute. He's coming off one of his worst starts of the year. This is like probably the 2 best teams in the East. Rematch of the semifinals, I think, last year. Maybe it was the finals. If the game is close, Giannis will smash. If Milwaukee blows them out, Giannis is going to smash. And even if they get blown out, he might still get there until they finally pull him. But he didn't play a lot yesterday. Should be very fresh. While the rest of his team went into overtime, he got into foul trouble. So he'd be my second favorite. Then LeBron, Hassan Whiteside, kind of in a little tie there. Love the Lakers New Orleans game, and just think like there's really only 2 options from the Lakers, in terms of studs, obviously. But I favor LeBron. The price tag has come down a tad. I think the game's going to be close. But I also do like Whiteside. It's like whichever game stays closer longer, that player will do better. And Portland, Boston are both kind of shorthanded. I expect that game to play very fast. And Boston just has no answer for bigs. Whiteside's getting a ton of minutes. They really have no one that they really trust to back him up at this point. So he's getting a lot of minutes, a ton of rebounds. This should be no different. And then CJ McCollum, same team, same game. He's just in that Dame Lillard, massive usage, do everything kind of situation. And we've seen this many times before. I mean, his price is up, but again, it's like if that game stays close, I think he just, goes into the 50s like he did the last 2 times. But those are the guys I like the most in the stud range.
Yeah, I think I guess my biggest like hold up with McCollum was really that. Like, is the game gonna stay close? They're playing Boston, who's a good team, and without Dame, they've looked terrible. They got destroyed by New Orleans. Then they played Detroit and they barely beat them. A team that has been blown out by everyone. They barely beat Detroit. So that was my main concern. With that said, there is a lot of value in these players, right? Like, they have a massive injury. People are going to stay away from them, I think, because of the price increases. But I mean, we're talking about McCollum played 43 minutes in that last game against Detroit. Whiteside, like you said, they don't have a viable backup that they're comfortable with, and it happens to be a spot where they don't really have anything for him on the other side. Cantor's the best thing they got, and they don't even want to play his ass for whatever reason. So I'm interested as well in those guys. I think it's interesting. And yeah, man, I'm trying to get as many of these. I'm trying to get exposure to these studs as well. I looked at it the same way. To me, it came down to like I want the studs and then the games I like the most. And so my main studs are Anthony Davis, LeBron, and Giannis, because those are the two games that are my favorite. But with that said, when I rush to go do that, similarly to yesterday, how everybody played the Hardens and the Lucas, but then Bradley Beal, here he comes at 7%. Maybe it wasn't supposed to happen because in regulation he wasn't there. Doesn't matter. Game went to overtime, he got there. So I do think there is a lot of merit in that in between, like the studs, but not the top studs, but over the mid tier. You get my point. Talk to me about the mid tier, motherfucker.
Like Drew Holiday a lot. Just want to get exposure to that game. I think pretty much all the starters are viable for New Orleans, but he's my favorite. He's had the highest usage, the highest fantasy points per minute over the last 2 weeks. Yes, Ingram did miss a few games, so maybe those numbers are slightly jaded, but he's the leader of this team, and you want to attack the Lakers with guards. I think New Orleans wins the game outright. I think they're playing very, very well, motivated, and trying to get into the playoffs. Memphis has lost yesterday. They need to win against the Browns. And, there's plenty of motivation and narrative surrounding this game. Drew Holiday's just going to be the guy that steps up, in my opinion. Like him quite a bit. Like Gordon Hayward a lot. Like Fred VanVleet. The mid-tier is loaded. And like there's some that I think will be very low. No. Andrew Wiggins, I think, is an option. I kind of think Golden State Sacramento stays close and it's kind of like a sneaky game stack. Shea Gilgeous-Alexander, right? This kid's a rebounding freak. Chicago's terrible at rebounding, so I think a double-double's on the way. He, could go off in scoring as well. Brandon Ingram's way too cheap. Jaylen Brown is popping on everybody's model. I totally get that. TJ Warren, again, Indiana's missing two pretty, significant usage guys. TJ Warren's been playing out of his mind outside of his last game, and I just expect the usage and shots to be there today. Myles Bridges, now we got this dramatic change for Charlotte. They're all super cheap. Myles Bridges really just like blew my mind in the rookie game, and the usage has kind of like come with him since then. With Graham moving out, that's massive usage, massive amount of shots. There's other Hornets that are viable, but Myles Bridges is probably my favorite, if not Monk. Terry Rozier is certainly viable as well in that conversation. And then Kobe White, this kid's just, on fire. He's got the second unit all to himself. The Bulls don't really have many guys that, can score the ball right now, and he's just picking up the slack, hitting shots, price probably hasn't gotten high enough for what he's doing right now. And, that game could stay close as well. So those are the guys in the mid-tier that I'm the most interested in.
Yeah, man, I'm with you. Like, I'm like conflicted. I don't want to get too vested in that first game, the Charlotte Pacers, because both teams play slow. Pacers have a good defense, but at the end of the day, there's just so much usage and minutes that have just opened up. Devontae Graham plays a ton of minutes and carries a hefty amount of usage. On the other side, you're missing Lamb and Oladipo. That's a 1 and a 2 right there. So you're down to like your third option of the depth chart. They're just getting real thin at this point. So I'm with you. I'm in the same situation. Like, I didn't plan on it, but I find myself loading up between Monk and all these guys. And Bridges, I like a ton, especially if he gets matched up, which I think he will a lot against the likes of, what's his name? TJ Warren, who, while I do like him offensively, we know is just an awful defender. So I agree. I think there's a lot of opportunities. What about value, man? Who are some of the value you're hanging your hat on? We got some that just opened up. We have a lot of guys that were on that like barely value, like 4.9, 4.8, and we got a little bit more with guys like Malik Monk, etc. But who are some of the value plays you're looking to hang your head on today?
Obviously Malik Monk jumps out as a phenomenal one. Aaron Holiday moving into the starting lineup, I have quite a bit of interest in. Daniel Tice, I like a ton. He's in my core plays article. Just, centers have been killing Hassan. I think the game's close. Both these teams are pretty much running a 6-7 man max rotation. They don't want to play Cantor at all. Like, they don't have any other bigs. It's just similar to the Hassan situation, except he's 4'9", and unless he gets into foul trouble, he's pretty much been going for 30s pretty consistently. Harry Giles makes a lot of sense to me. They're finally playing in minutes. Centers have been killing Golden State all year. PJ Washington of Charlotte, I think gets a significant boost with no Devontae Graham. Kai Bowman, I like a lot. Juan Toscano Anderson, I like a lot. Kyle Kuzma, Avery Bradley, Eric Paschal with no Draymond. There's quite a bit now, but none of it's like crazy cheap. Where I do think we can get some crazy cheap stuff is Detroit, right? If Bruce Brown gets ruled out, or anyone else in that starting unit, then Langston Galloway, Siku Doumbaya, guys like that could become kind of interesting as well. But really only if Bruce Brown gets ruled out would I get incredibly interested in that. Zvi Mahaichuk as well over there. And Brandon Knight. There's a couple guys. So we really need Brown to get ruled out for that to be really worth anything. I do think Denver second unit guys could be interesting. I do expect Denver to kind of blow out Detroit. So maybe like a Mason Plumlee who's just getting back from injury. Maybe like a Michael Porter, a Monty Morris, somebody on the second unit there. I wouldn't be surprised they got there late in the fourth quarter and blowout run.
Yeah, again, I agree. It's like there are guys you can take shots on, right? Like in the super super cheap range. If we get the Detroit news and Brown is out, that's going to open a lot of things up. But in the meantime, the way things are now, it's like a lot of the value that I find myself liking, like everybody else, is going to be like the barely value, like guys that are like the what's his name, Malik Monk, etc. So I do agree. Talk to me about game stacks, man. Yesterday we talked about the Bucks being overpriced unless you're doing a game stack. We said if you're gonna play Middleton and Bledsoe and these guys, then it's game stack city. That's the only scenario where you play them, and that ended up being a pretty good way to go as long as if you were able to avoid Giannis. What about game stacks?
Yeah, so there's three for me, right? Milwaukee, Toronto. Like, personally, I think the game blows out. I don't have like a preference. I just have like a feeling that it's going to blow out and kind of disappoint. But if it doesn't, if it stays close, it's got a 231 total, two rivals, it could go to the moon. Boston, Portland. Like, both teams are missing their best player or, point guard. Both teams are playing very short rotations. You're going to get a ton of minutes. Both teams really need to win. Portland's been the nuts to attack all year, and Boston's really been faster than people perceive them to be. And then New Orleans Lakers. Like, just if that game's close, which I expect it to be, New Orleans plays so damn fast, and the Lakers have been much faster than what they were early in the year. Those three are the main game stacks. I think, all of them are somewhat viable, with Detroit, Denver being the first one I'd cross out, and then OKC, Chicago being the close second. But all the others, like Sacramento, Golden State, you wouldn't have to pull my arm to stack some teams there. And Charlotte, Indiana, with both teams missing guys now, lots of usage, very cheap. That one makes sense as a game stack as well. If it sneaks into overtime, you'll be all right. So a lot of them are viable, but the three that I think stand out, that like if the games stay close or get to overtime, you're going to want stacks, is the Pelicans, Lakers, Celtics, Portland, and Milwaukee, Toronto.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. And speaking of overtime, how about yesterday, bro? Like every fucking game went to overtime. Well, just to be clear, just so everybody's on the same page, Brandon Clark has been ruled out for Wednesday. So that, again, we got it. Yo, death, taxes, and Brandon Clark getting hurt when he's supposed to start. Boom. You can bet on it. I know it was unrelated, but I just got the notification. It was fresh on the mind. With that said, let's talk briefly about cash games. Obviously, we got our boy, I think Stevie Brown, with the cash game article today. Yo, I got to admit, man, like, I mean, you and I aren't big on cash. Like, we're definitely tournament guys, but our cash team's been solid, man. Matt and Stevie, for those of you who subscribe to WiseTake.com who are getting the cash game article, those guys, man, they put a cash game core out. They've been solid, bro. They've been really. I gotta give props where props is due, man. Cash is like it's that world. Like, we discuss it, we understand it. We just prefer to invest our money in tournaments. But yeah, shout out to those guys. They've been doing pretty well. Their articles have been very consistent. I mean, it's cash. You just the trick to cash. Don't overthink it. Like, play the optimal guys. Like, don't sit there and try to overthink it and be cute. You might be right one day, but over the long run, over the process, over the course of the season, you're better off sticking to what's optimal. Anyway, let's talk some cash, Paulie. Talk to me about some of the first guys in. I'm assuming the Charlotte guys are the first guys in.
Yeah. I think you put Terry Rowe and any one of the other Hornets that you want. Malik Monk, Myles, PJ Washington, or Cody Zeller. I don't know who's projecting to be the most popular out of the group, but I would assume Rozier, and then pick your next favorite Hornet. I would say Monk, but I don't know if you want to go with both guards there. I think it's fine.
I think it's fine too. I mean, I think they're cheap enough. That's what it comes down to, right? Like, if like Rozier is 7K and Monk is like 5'8" or 5'9", maybe not in this type of matchup. But I agree with you. I think they're both cheap enough to where you just fuck it, just do dirties, answer later for any mistakes. Let's see if there's any questions in here for the nation. There's boy T Cameron again. Hi guys, thanks for that fire cheesy 400 on FanDuel. Holla, he figured out how to do the screenshot. He did figure it out. We had a old school type screenshot, but shout out to you, Mr. Campbell. We appreciate you. Nice job. One of our guys, one of our esports experts, analysts, if you will, Governor 98. Any thoughts on Cody Martin, 3,200, small forward, shooting guard eligible from Charlotte?
Yeah, absolutely. He's already kind of getting minutes. He was kind of viable before the news. Now he's certainly viable, and that's like, want to get real stars and scrubs. Him, Jalen McDaniels, those are guys you got to consider, and they're certainly viable.
Yeah, I 100% agree. Let me see here. Yeah, Cody Martin. I'm looking at about 28% right now, and again, I projected it to be overweight on some of the studs, so I'm looking at like a lot of LeBron and all these other options, other guys to jam in. So I'm with you. I think it makes a lot of sense to take shots. He's one of the super cheap value guys that we can actually take a shot on for me today. Let's see if there's any questions before we do our final builds. I'm going to pop up in here right quick. Heads up, they're saying, Jamis says, heads up, there's a certain site that's down again. Yeah, we ain't using them shits no more. Dunzo. You know what we're talking about. Jamis, yeah. I see your question. Dunzo. Not doing that no more. William Crudup, always with the yo. What up, bro? Good to see you in here, man. I always seen you here. Love it. Thoughts on our boy Austin Clampett wants to know thoughts on Bazemore.
Fine value play. Been getting good minutes usage since coming over there. A little nervous about Jabari Parker kind of stealing some of that in the second unit. But, if you want to throw him on 15 to 20% of your teams, I'm all for it. For sure. Top 3 value plays from my boy Marlon Wheatley. Top 3 value plays. Daniel Tice, Malik Monk, and I do like him. Kai Bowman.
I like it. I think I'm with you on Monk for sure. He's probably my favorite. Who was the other one you said? I'm pretty sure I agree with that one too. I just forgot who you said.
I said Monk, Bowman, and Tice.
Yes. Man, it's like to me, like for me, Monk is number one, and then the other guys are like real close next to each other. Daniel Tice, Kai Bowman, this Toscano Anderson cat. Obviously Cody Martin, but I think my favorite outside of Monk is probably Harry Giles. Now again, I'm gonna say, to be clear, on FanDuel this may not help you much because you're gonna have to guess. I'm assuming he is starting because he has been. If Giles is not starting, I want nothing to do with him because I just don't want to play that game. And I don't think like we have other options like Daniel Tice and all these other players you can just pivot to and just not even worry. At least you know they're starting. If Giles is starting though, he would be my second favorite actual value play outside of Malik the Freak Monk. To be clear. Let me see. T. Cameron is too funny. Shout out to the person in the chat that I think it was Wig who helped you out. He said, shout out to the person in the chat that explained to me how to screenshot. I love that. The nation works together, man. Happy nation. Happy man. Happy nation. So Labs has Cody Martin as a better play than Cody. MG says this. MG says that I guess Labs has Cody Martin as a better play than Cody. Do you have any input on the Martin brothers there? Like one more than the other? I always confuse their names.
Cody's the one that's been playing, right?
I believe so. I'm going to double check. I always confuse the friggin' names.
Check their minute because one's gotten way more than the other.
Yeah. What's it called? Cody is the one that has been playing. Cody's the one that Cody's the one that's been playing already.
Yeah. You know, I'd be playing Jalen McDaniels before Caleb.
It's like I'm with you. Hornets will start Terry Rozier, Malik Monk, Bridges, PJ Washington, and Cody Zeller. We just got that news in. For show. Let's keep it rolling. Groovy train style. It's about 6:30. We're about 30 minutes out from Lock Nation. If you have questions, get them up in there. It'll help us move the show along. We're here to make sure you guys are updated with any of the news that comes out. Keep in mind that we are also going through getting our teams built and everything else as well. I see a dude in the chat that being like a dick. Okay. Here we go from I'm gonna call you Juice for now. I'm gonna call you Juice, but you gotta tell me how to pronounce the name. Maybe you did and I missed it, but tell me how to pronounce the name because I don't want to be, unless you're cool with me calling you Juice, then it's all good. What's y'all's best advice for someone hand building, not MMEing, and how's Cash doing? Cash, I believe, is doing well. He's doing his thing. He's busy. Got a crazy work schedule. He's got 20 kids. Dude is busy, but I'm sure he's doing well. With that said, because he's Cash, and Cash is going to be Cash no matter what happens, no matter where he is. With that said, any advice for someone building hand-built teams today?
Don't. No, but I mean, if you are, try to build as many as you can and use like some kind of core grouping, like 3-4 guys that you put on 4 of 6 teams, 5 of 6. You kind of got to take some kind of stand, type of build, a grouping of players, a game stack, and get a couple different combinations of it, because just having like 10% of a couple different guys is just not going to work. You really got to nail something and still got to get it right. So cores, at least, if you're hand building. Contest selection is another big thing. There's a ton we can talk about, but I would say the number one thing is grab a core group of guys, 4 or 5 of them, put them on 70% of your lineup, 75%.
Holla. You gave me. Oh, boy. So as of right now, Paulie, I know you wrote the Core Plays article. I'm actually going to look at it in a second. I haven't looked at it yet because you finished it while I was on the first stream. But talk to me about some of the players you think are going to end up highest, like overall. Not necessarily in any order, but just talk to me about some of the guys that you're intentionally looking to be overweight on.
Yeah, so Domantas Sabonis is probably my most favorite. Without those two guys, Oladipo and Lamb, I just think think he's going to have a higher usage day. It's a smash spot. And he really kind of changes your build with all these value centers that the industry is looking at. Like, I like the idea of paying up at center. I like the idea of grabbing like 2 spend-up centers. You can put Sabonis at power forward and go get like a Hassan Whiteside or a Jokic or an AD or whoever else is expensive, and that'll just really change your build from the field. And I think that they could significantly outscore the value plays, out-raw point them.
Fair enough. Show enough, if you will. The Sabonis, I'm expecting to be extremely contrarian. I talked about it on the game by game. What I like the most about Sabonis, and I don't think I'm going to have as much as you. I'm going to have some. I'm literally making sure I have some now. But what I like the most about it is it looks like Myles Turner is projected to be pretty popular. That's straight leverage because one of those guys is going to do the dirty to Charlotte. They're just terrible against bigs. So with everybody looking to play Myles Turner, it would not shock me at all if Sabonis just went ham today at like 5% or something like that. It wouldn't shock me at all. So and that was one thing that I did actually agree with you and I talked about earlier. Let's see. Time to do let me check some questions real quick. I'm going to do one last upload to these projections and see if I'm finally getting what I want, man. Give me what I want, man. Do you like Harry Giles? Or am I tripping?
Yes, okay. Definitely. As long as
you start. Yeah, I'm not playing that game. That's one thing that I think I've personally gotten better. I think you've already kind of been good with that, but I would be stubborn, and if a guy wouldn't start, I'd be like, whoa, now he's going to be super low owned. I'm going to go after it anyway. And I would end up like really screwing myself because like the Chris Boucher, Rondé Hollis Jefferson, right? Like I wouldn't lower Boucher enough, even though they said Hollis Jefferson was the starter. I would raise Jefferson. I just wouldn't lower the other one enough. And that's one thing that like I'm just not willing to take those chances on a day-to-day basis, like that's something that like even built to to the last to Juice's question, like you were talking about, there's so much to talk about building hand-built teams. There's different styles in its own. Like whether you want to play single entry and play a little more optimal and have just like 1 or 2 contrarian pivots getting to the top, or you want to throw it in donkeys. But if that's the case, you need to be real fucking different. Like Paulie said, is nail everything. So it kind of all ties together at some point. Let me see here. I'm gonna pop into this chat real quick. First, I'm gonna check with the WiseStream chat first, though. Oh, okay, nothing in the WiseStream chat. I know what it is, Nation. You know I got your back, though. Oh, Juicelino. There you go, Juicelino. Yo, when you did that, when you spell it out like that, like phonetically, is that how you say that? The pronunciation, it looks like it makes sense, and I feel dumb for not saying it right. His nickname is Juice. Good with me. I called it Juice anyway. Juice is cool with me. MG, Cash Cat 20 kids, one for every day he's been off in his life. Hey. We have a question from Anthony Vespi. Ibaka or Jaylen Brown?
Jaylen Brown.
Yeah, I would say Jaylen Brown too. That's a good question. I think I have a good amount of both of those guys. So I'm curious. Now you got me curious. I have slightly more Ibaka, but I think I'm going to change that because that wasn't like an intentional thing. That's just Ibaka's price is low considering the minutes. I was already kind of conservative with his minutes, and I still want to be. You know what I mean? Let me see what happens if I do this. Like, I want Ibaka. I just don't necessarily want him to be one of my highest owned. 38.44. Ibaka, where you at, though? 38.44. Sometimes it's just the most minor differences that make everything. My lineups. All right, let's delete all these old builds right quick. Delete this too. All right, here we go. We're gonna do the dirty. Hey, I told you delete this shit, bro. All right, building a quick 170 real quick. DraftKings, disappointed in your contest selection today, suckers. Guys, appreciate those of you who have recently joined us. If you haven't hit that like button, please hit that like button. Really helps us out, allows us to continue to do dirties. A lot of you have, and I really, really appreciate it. Some of y'all show up every single day and you do the grind with us, and we do appreciate all you guys who tune in and help keep us going. With that said, we need more likes because we need to dominate the DFS industry, and we're not going to do that without your help. So, as they say, get down and lay down. one way or another, the nation's going to get there. I suggest you are on the right side of this, and you just cooperate with us. Where are we at here? 6. We have about 22 minutes to lock. I like where we're at.
Yeah.
The questions slowed down. The news slowed down. So
Oh, shit.
some crazy shit.
All right.
Happened?
No, but with Draymond out, Dragon Bender's min price. He played 20 minutes for the Warriors last game. Yes, Marquise Chris was out, but they did just sign him. I think it's a 10-day. They're probably going to let him, prove if he can play or not. They could get blown out. You'd get in that stars and scrubs route. You could take a shot on Dragon Bender. No more than 5%, but he's just a player that no one else in the industry knows.
Yeah, no, that is a good point. And I did notice him too. Like I saw him and I was like, oh wow, he's gonna be really low owned. And then I was just like, fuck it. Well, I needed it, but that is a good point. More importantly, like for me, it's like it makes me think twice. Like there's an injury, but they do have players. Like that Toscano dude. You know what I'm saying? Like he's been getting 28, 30 minutes. They got guys. So with Chris there, like Draymond's out, so that helps. But they do have players. So that is something that we need to keep in mind. Let me see where I'm at. I gotta jack up some more Sabonis, man. I'm really not getting a lot of him. What about Anthony Davis? Yes. Giannis? Yes. So far, I like the exposure I'm getting to the studs. Where are you at with Brandon Ingram, bro?
I like him, but he's like my third favorite on his own team.
Yeah.
I prefer Zion and Drew.
Yeah, I feel you.
Honestly, I probably like a bunch of guys. I think I'd like Lonzo and him are close. I like JJ Redick more. I probably like Nicole Lomeli more.
I do worry about the foul trouble a little bit. I mean, he's. I love Ingram today at his price. I love it. Like it's not just the narrative, just in general. I know last game it just wasn't there. The game before that he got into foul trouble. Excuses all day, but I think he's just way too underpriced, even with Zion there. But even with that said, like the foul trouble thing bothers me. I don't like being like crazy overweight on guys that are prone to foul trouble. I'm not saying he's prone to it, but it happens. It's not like a one-time thing. It happens to him. Like he tries to get a little too aggressive, tries to take a charge, gets a little too aggressive offensively with driving. It happens. So makes me a little nervous. How much Monk and Rozier are you playing? Are you playing one more than the other? How much are you playing on those guys?
I'll have more Monk.
Yeah.
I mean, he's just been way more effective lately.
Agreed. 100% agreed.
He's, better, in my opinion. Also, Terry Rozier probably draws some. Malcolm Brogdon D is a very good defender. I just prefer Monk, but I do like Terry Rozier as well. He's got just as much upside. I just prefer him.
Yeah, I agree with that. I do. How much of this Toscano Anderson are you willing to play?
Not a ton. 25% at most.
Yeah. Feels you on that. Feels you on that.
Chris is there. Bender is there. Like, they do like him. They do want to see him play. But, like, when they were trying to come back the last game, and they were, like, already down by, like, 11, it was wild. Like, with 5 minutes to go, they did pull him and Kai Coleman and, like, put Damian Lee and like, what's his name? The starting center that's been there for a while on the Warriors. What's his name?
Looney?
Yeah, Looney, right? They put them back in, then the other team scored like 2 quick baskets, and they pulled them out, and they sent Toscano back out there. But, like, if the game's close, maybe he doesn't get as many minutes. There's bodies there. It's not Draymond and Chris out this time. Right. It's just Draymond.
Yeah, I agree with that.
And his price is higher.
Yeah, I do agree with that. I'm going to lower his projection just a little bit. Because I was thinking the same thing. I'm like, man, there's more bodies there than it seems. So what do you think? I've got him at about 24 and a half. What do you think, like 24? I had him at 25. Lowered it to like 24 and a half. Yeah.
Yeah, that's fine. I would just, I'm not even really concerned with that. I would just not want to have more than 25% of him because there's significantly better plays out there. It's probably ceiling down. You know what I mean? I think he shot pretty efficiently from outside. This isn't a guy that, like, a ton of people are really, like, expecting to be great. He's starting to look all right. He's got some athleticism, but I don't think this is like a smash play like a Brandon Clark would be at 4K getting that kind of time.
Brandon fucking Clark, that mother. Listen, I can't be that. I'm not angry at him. I'm not. He got hurt. What can you do? Guys get hurt. I'm just mad at the situation. That's what I tell myself when I'm working on my anger management skills. If you've noticed, I've been a lot better with the tweet stuff, man. I have not been hate tweeting. And there's been drafts. Like, I've written things and then just stopped myself and just said, this isn't right. This is not the right thing to do. You know what I mean? Karma is going to come get your ass if you don't stop fucking around. I do believe in that. That I do believe. And I need some good juju, that's for sure. Especially after yesterday. Yesterday was train wreck. For sure. We're about 16 minutes from Lock Nation. If you have questions, get them in, and we will do our best to answer them as long as we're able to build our teams and do dirties as we do. I am currently... All right, let me just take a look. I'm going to take a look at our cheat sheet in a second. I just want to see what it's like. I haven't even looked at it once. It goes automatically, so I haven't had to. But I did make a lot of adjustments to the projections over the past hour, so I'm curious to see if it's even recognizable at this point from what I saw this morning. I'm sure it is not. Even from ownership, like Derrick Rose is a guy that we were prepared to go underweight on, assuming he was chalk. But it looks like now with Rozier and these other guys, he may be low owned tonight. So, like, has your opinion on any of those guys changed at all? Like, I think at one time Cody Zeller was projected to be popular. That kind of fell off because other guys opened up in general. Anything like different for you?
I mean, I'm not really that into Derrick Rose, but if Bruce Brown were to get ruled out, they're almost just don't have enough bodies to not at least consider,
Well, I think they do have some of those, like that dude Bone, right? It's like a Jordan Bone. Yeah, they're still really short on bodies. That's true. Just too short. I mean, you're talking about the rapper either. What? I'm just dropping dirties today, man. Somebody take this mic away from me, man. I'm about to burn this shit right here. You know what I mean? This shit is on fire.
What's happening, guys?
No, I did not have any medicine today, actually, too. You know what it is? Lack of sleep. The new puppy? Lack of sleep. That's what's happening to me right now.
Dirty.
Oh, yeah. Puppy's doing it dirty to me. No doubt. All right, let me pop into the chat while these teams build. We up to 51 likes, man. Y'all are great. We're always going to ask for more, but y'all are great. Let's see. Matt M says Daniel Tice, Paulie. I know that's one of your favorite plays today, right? Value plays, at least.
Yep.
Adam Lomax, 5.2K left. I need a forward on DraftKings.
All right, then
she.
5.2.
Yeah, 5.2 left. He needs a forward.
I mean, I'm cool with Paschal, Millsap, PJ Washington. If Bruce Brown plays, I'm all right with him. But at that range, Paschal, PJ Washington, Millsap is who you got to consider.
Yeah, I think I agree. For me, plays today. All right, let me pop back in this chat in a second. Oh, man, you know what? Holiday. Thoughts on Aaron Holiday? That's my own question for you.
Some interest, but I kind of like his teammates a bit more. His price isn't even that low, and I like Warren and Sabonis significantly more.
Yeah.
He got there because they got smoked last game, and he got that blowout time. Him going into the starting lineup kind of hurts him, in my opinion. I just think his usage kind of is low. He needs Brogdon out of there to get the point guard usage.
I do agree with that. That for him starting isn't always helpful. If he's efficient, sure. Efficiency is efficiency, right? If he's making every shot he takes, then sure, I get it. But I do agree with that aspect. All right, let me do this upload here. It's time to build us some squadrons, Nation. Get those teams ready, Nation. We're 12 minutes away from lock, and you don't want to be fucked. I was going to think of a creative, clever word to use instead of it, and then it just slid right out. I just said fucked. That's all I got, bro. That's all I got.
Smooth.
It's real smooth, yeah. Real smooth. I was like, what's a clever word to say so I don't curse? And instead, I just curse in a weird way. It's just that was my solution. You know what I'm saying? That was my solution. So that's how we're living today. Looking for a bounce back horde. You know what I mean? And long, but mostly horde. You know what I mean? Shit.
You're gonna need it.
Oh hell yeah! Oh hell yeah! All right, let's see. Build away. Did I even download this damn DraftKings template and shit? No, I didn't. Damn. It's hard out here for a PM. Alright then, shit. Alright, let me pull up the chat while these teams is building. Up to 53 likes. Let's get some more. Alright, here are the other questions. Is Bruce Brown out? We don't know yet. He's questionable still as of now. Probably won't get that until after lock. Anthony Vespi says, do you guys do Showdown? Only when I have to. Not for any other reason other than time. Just not having a ton of time to do them. We like them. I mean, you and I have played them when we've had to, and there's been like 1 or 2 game slates and things, and we've had fun. They are fun. In football, Monday Night Football, Thursday Night Football, I enjoy them. I do think there's still somewhat of an edge in them. It's just for me, it's more of a time thing. I put so much time, and I'm sure you do too. Obviously, you do too, during the day in the projections and the articles and all the content we do and all that stuff, that by the time, you gotta spend some time with the wife and shit. You know what I'm saying? So that would be the reason that I don't really play too many Showdowns. But any opinion on the Showdowns, Paulie?
They're all right. I don't mind using them as hedging tools too, like late. I sometimes happen to throw some into like the very last one if I've got guys that I need to do well or don't need to do well, and I'll kind of hedge whatever I do need. I do the opposite kind of, that captain spot can get a little interesting with stuff like that. But I agree with what you said. It's win force too. But when I've got regular main slates, I don't really have much interest.
Correct, Mundo. What else we got here? Our boy Leighton F says, is Cody Zeller worth playing today?
A little bit.
Yeah.
I think you should get something.
Yeah, I think it's okay. Yeah. Just like a matchup thing, like whether it's him or Biyombo, as long as Turner and Sabonis are on the court, they're going to like I don't see them putting Myles Bridges on either of those guys, right? So you got to think that PJ is a guy that normally plays the 5, and that leads to Zeller getting squeezed out. But honestly, if there was ever a spot for those guys, for Zeller to actually play decent minutes, and again, it could be Biyombo who gets him, but this would be the spot where you would expect one of those centers to actually play. Because of Myles Turner, Sabonis on the other end. So I'm fine with it. I'm not crazy. Like, I'm not going overboard, but I am going to play some Zeller. Bob McIntyre, Draymond Green is out. Yes, Draymond Green is out. Going back to Adam, he says, thanks, guys. I was leaning Millsap. Keep killing it. We appreciate it. We'll keep killing it as long as the nation keeps showing up, as long as the nation keeps doing dirties and keeps us motivated by hitting that like button. 53 likes is pretty solid. I appreciate y'all, but I think there's a little more left in the tank. I think there's more in us. In y'all, and there's more. Always gonna ask for more, but there's more. Oh wow, getting a lot of Myles Bridges, which I'm okay with it. I just didn't expect to get that much. You know what I mean? 30s and 7s, shit.
All right, NBA.
You know how that goes. What? All right, do some of this. There's some last minute adjustments to our squadrons. As we got 8 minutes to lock, nation, make sure you get set up. I'm setting it up now. I'm doing up on a did up. You know what I mean? Doing it well. All right, this should be my last actual update before lock. So I'm gonna get them in then. Shit.
Do you know if Brook Lopez is playing?
Yes, he is. Yes, he is. At least that's what they say. But yeah, we did get a notification earlier that he's gonna play.
He did have a couple big games in the playoffs against them last year.
Yeah, I mean, he's definitely a matchup issue. He's a lot bigger than Ibaka, and obviously he can shoot threes, so there definitely is, like, from a matchup perspective, a little edge for him, I would think. Maybe a little less when, what's his name is there? Gasol, but he's not, so, you know. Remember Lopez, man? Like I know he don't play like a banger, but he's a big guy. Like he's fucking massive. Like he's a big dude. That's like a dude that like all day on the TV, I'm like Doofy Duncan. Look at this doofy ass dude. He's But if I saw him in person, wouldn't say a damn word. Cause he's a donut. Don't get me wrong. He's a donut. Let's be real. He's plays soft, but he's still a very large human being. You know what I mean? Just very large. What is he like? 7'1", 7'2", or some shit?
Mm-hmm.
You know? There's just no need. I mean, I'm not into that shit anymore. And I was in my younger days. I'd be up for any challenge. But shit, not no more. And after all those years of chair shots, going through tables, all that shit, I'm done with that stuff.
Not me.
Not me, as our boy Cash would say. 6 minutes to lock, Nation. I got my last build coming, whether I like it or not. This is what I'm going to rock with because I'm not trying to fuck around and end up with no teams in there. So I'm just going to do thy dirty. Do thy dirty.
True or false, CK? You could eliminate all the games except the last three and build some stacks from those final three, and that'd be the best lineup of the night.
So yeah, those are my favorite games. But the only thing is, I do think that like something from Charlotte has to be mixed in there. I think something from Charlotte. I think Malik Monk. Maybe it's Bridges. Maybe it's Rozier. But I feel like something from Charlotte, and then yes, those games. Yes, I do like those games a lot. A lot. Oh man, I just realized this thing didn't give me enough TJ Warren. I wanted more TJ Warren, bro. Don't do that to me. Now you're gonna put me in the scramble mode. Come on now. I don't need a lot. Just give me a little bit. Damn, man. Give me none. Some bullshit. Bullshit right there. 5 minutes to lock too. Not even give me time to make that adjustment. Shit. Oh, come on. Don't give me that shit. Okay, I see what the problem is, Mr. Warren. I see what the problem is. Okay. Build mode, 4 minutes to lock. Let's get it in now. Right now. I didn't have time to look into the cheat sheet. Sorry, Nation, but dirty style. What can I say? What can I say? How much Malik Monk are you getting right now?
60.
Yeah, I'm a little over that. I think around 70. He's the guy that I'm getting a lot of. I'm cool with it. I have no problems with it. I was just wondering.
I prefer him to Rozier, but it could easily be Rozier or both. Less likely to be both, in my opinion. But that's really my issue with getting too much Monk because I don't want to have a ton with them together, and it really could be Rozier instead, or you know what I mean, Absolutely. Like the one that you really.
No, that is actually a really good point. That honestly I really wasn't even thinking of, but that actually is a very good point. Shit, alright then, shit. 3 minutes to lock, Nation. And I'm fucking around with this shit right now. 3 minutes to lock. Let's do it. Let us do it. Okay. Here to here, down. Do it like this, a little like that. DK entries. DK entries, where you at? Let's go. Let's go. Don't do me like, there you are. Alright, I think I'm up. I think I got squadrons up. We only got a couple seconds, but I'm going to pull up that cheat sheet real quick anyway. Go over some DraftKings actions. So according to our projections, our cheat sheets have LeBron James as the top high-end point guard, Terry Rozier as the top mid-tier point guard, Malik Monk as the top value point guard, CJ McCollum as the top shooting guard spend-up, Terry Rozier again as the shooting guard mid-tier because he's multiple position. Malik Monk, same thing. Cody Martin right under Malik Monk, though, for value shooting guard. Jason Tatum as the only real spend up at small forward. Brandon Ingram, top mid-tier. Myles Bridges right behind him, followed by Danilo Gallinari, Gordon Hayward, TJ Warren. Cody Martin projecting for our top small forward value play as well. Let me just check and make sure these teams is in. Yes, they're in. I don't always trust it, but they're in. All right. What else we got here? So for value, small forwards, Cody Martin, the Juan Toscano Anderson, Danny Green, Svi Mihajlovic, Trevor Ariza. High-end power forwards, we have Anthony Davis, then Giannis, then Sabonis, then Siakam, then Tatum. Mid-tier power forwards, Brandon Ingram, Myles Bridges, Gallo, Hayward, Carmelo Anthony. Pretty much the same except for Warren and Anthony switch. Power forward value, Juan Toscano Anderson, Cody Zeller, Jalen McDaniels, PJ Washington, Eric Paschall. High-end centers, Anthony Davis, Hassan Whiteside, Domantas Sabonis, Nikola Jokic, Pascal Siakam. Mid-tier, Serge Ibaka, Marquise Chris, Christian Wood, Steven Adams. Value, Harry Giles, Daniel Tice, Cody Zeller, John Henson, Myles Turner. Let's go. We are 1 minute away, nation. Make sure you get those final teams in there. Hit that like button if you haven't already, guys. It really helps us out. Really appreciate us out. Frank Corona, Doug McDermott, worth any consideration? Oh, and it's lock. Oof, just missed it.
Minimal. I thought about him, but I don't, it's all right then.
Agreed. It's just all right then. Appreciate those of you hanging out with us. We should have I think we have a guest coming on Thursday. I just got to finalize some details. We should have a guest on here with myself and Paulie for the second half of the show. The game by game will still be with me early. And then as we get closer to lock for part 2 of the Wise Stream on Thursday, so tomorrow it'll be us two, but on Thursday, we're going to have a little guest on to be with me and Paulie, do a little 3-man action, have some fun that way. But we are at Lock Nation. Hopefully you guys did the dirty and do what you got to do tonight and take it all down. And if you win, don't be stingy. We want to see some screenshots. If you win, hit us up on Twitter at CK_013, at Paulie with 8 Ds, at Wise_Take. We want to see it. We want to see the screenshots.
Yeah. Have T Cam and teach you how to screenshot.
I'll teach you how to Dougie too if you're good. For Paulie D, for myself, the entire WiseTake Nation. We'll catch you guys tomorrow. And as always, good luck.